Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural. I can't even say that word, how excited I am to have one of my good friends here, Cameron Pennington from season 15 of Worst Cooks in America. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Jefferson? How are you? Good to be here.
Yes, you are. So listen, you are going to be a trivia question. The question's going to be, who was the first ever guest on Burnt? And here you go. So
That's
write that
right.
down.
That's right. Myself. There we go. Excited
So
to be here. Thanks for having me.
of course, man. I always wanted to work with you. Even it's a weird industry that we're in. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say food industry because I'm not in the food industry. I'm in the industry of entertainment and
There you
just
go.
having fun. And when I saw your season is really when I started to think like, man, I really like this show. This is a fun show.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's it's a fun thing. I mean, the whole experience is great. I mean, it's a lot of crazy moments, which I'm sure we're going to
Yes.
talk
We're
about.
going to talk all about that.
So yeah, for
Let's
sure.
let's jump right into it, man. I sometimes find myself in the rabbit hole of Twitter, and I just sitting down 3 o'clock in the morning, laying down my phone in my hand, and I'll go on Reddit and I'll see what people are talking about, and a lot of people want to know like a lot of behind the scenes stuff in reality TV. A lot of people don't know
Right.
what goes on. If it's real, is this fake? So like
Hmm.
let's start from the beginning. How was the audition process for you? What did you do? Did you just say, "Hey, I'm a bad cook, worst cooks in America. Can I be on your show?" What happened? What was the process like?
Yeah. So for me personally, I had a bad experience with cooking for my girlfriend
Okay.
at the time. Uh, that led me to and end up getting broken up with, of course. So at that moment, I knew I had to do something to improve, to not be
Right.
such a loser in the kitchen. So just like anybody else can do, you can send an application in. I think it was on Casting Crane. And then a few days went by, I got a phone call. And then I think from there, the whole process took a bit. I mean, I think it was around 2 to 3 months for me because I
Yeah.
applied early. So it was like a 3 month process before I actually got
Wow.
the official okay, come on
You,
the show, fly out.
exactly. For the people watching this or listening to everywhere it's podcast or streaming, it's not an easy 1, 2, 3 thing. It literally takes months. I remember when I had my audition tape, I think I auditioned in November and I got the
Oh,
call
wow.
in March. So it was like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't do math. I guess 6 months maybe. And it was a long time and just waiting. Am I on the show? Am I on the show? And then
Yeah.
like you go
Yeah.
back and you're watching the show, you're like, man, I want to be on the show so bad. And then you finally get that call, and it's like, this is
Yeah.
great. So like
Yeah.
I remember I
Exactly.
know the process of auditioning, but like what did you have to do specifically to audition? Like did you go meet them in person or did you have to send them a video, I'm assuming, right?
Correct. Yep. So if you get a call back, I guess, from your initial application, they'll ask you to do a video. And for me personally, they asked me to make a dish from scratch. No recipe. Don't follow anything. Just no stopping. No cutting, no editing. Just go for it.
Right.
Show your skills or lack thereof.
Exactly.
Or lack. That's the important part. And they asked me to mince cloves of garlic, dice a
What the
tomato.
hell is mince? I didn't know what that was.
Listen, for my audition video, they asked me to mince 3 garlic cloves. I had no idea that the cloves were the individual,
Oh,
pieces inside of the whole
same,
head of garlic. So
same.
I went all out, and I probably ended up mincing like 24 cloves of garlic because I used all of the. I
Yes.
had no clue whatsoever. I mean, it was bad. I mean, that was a long day. I mean, whew, but yeah,
It's
so the
fun.
video, yeah.
And
Yes, it's
so
fun.
you sent in the video, and I'm guessing they liked or did not like what they saw, so they invited you on the show.
There you go. Yep. I think from that point on, it was a few more phone calls. And I think each phone call you went up the ladder of command, I guess you could
Yep.
say, starting, from the casting producers all the way up to the executive producers of the show that
Yep.
work for, the production company. Um, So one thing led to another, and yeah,
Exactly. It's a process, man. It really is. And I
it
remember when I
is.
made my audition tape, it was the same thing what you're saying. And I'm guessing
Yep.
it's going to be the same thing when I interview everybody else. So
Mhm.
I'm guessing you had to upload it to like a YouTube thing, and how did you send in the video?
Yep. So they had me upload it via YouTube, unlisted, so that way nobody could watch this video other than them. They had to have
Okay. So I have to
the
cut you
link.
off real quick, Cam. The reason why I asked that is because I want to see that audition tape. Okay. I need you.
Cool.
I need you to put that bad boy on public and release it so people can watch. If you want, you don't have to. But I
No,
think,
I'd be all for it.
yeah, I think it's fun to show people like what we did to get on the show. It's not just like, hey, I can't
For
cook.
sure.
Trust me, it was a process, and people would love to
Yeah,
see the
for
behind the
sure.
scenes stuff to get on this show. I think.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I would love to release it. Now that I guess I'm out of contract, I guess I can do that.
Right on.
So yeah,
I think mine
yeah,
is
for sure.
out there somewhere. It's floating around the internet.
Yeah, I mean, those videos, they'll live forever. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, it was fun. That was the start of a life change. Really, I think that goes for all of us.
I agree. Okay, so you get the call, you're on the show, you're happy. I'm guessing like you told your immediate family because you can't, I
Yeah,
mean, you have to tell them like, hey, I'm going to be gone for like 3 weeks, maybe a month. I can't tell you what I'm doing. So you got to tell someone, obviously. Like I told my wife, but that was
gotcha.
the extent of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
get there. And we're recording? I mean, New York, right? Is that the same place you recorded?
Yep. In Brooklyn, we were in Brooklyn. My season was in Brooklyn. Yep.
Brooklyn. Okay,
Yep.
so tell me the day you landed JFK Airport and they take you to the hotel. When did you meet the cast, and like tell me about that process?
So it was actually funny because out of all 15 of us, only two of us flew into LaGuardia, and the rest either flew into Newark, New Jersey, or JFK. Most of them being
Ah,
JFK. I was one of the ones that was in LaGuardia. So me and one of the other contestants flew into LaGuardia. We both got there at the same time. So I met one of the contestants early on,
how did you
and
know it was
then
them? You just look at them, and be like, oh, this person can't cook.
whew, if you watch the show, you know that everybody has a character to them. They're not. It's
Exactly.
not. We are not normal. We're not normal people. Let's be
Absolutely, man.
honest here. Let's be honest here. So when you meet these people, you see them face to face. You're like, oh my god, this person is definitely on the show with me. Like there is no doubt about it.
Absolutely. I remember from my season.
And
Sorry to cut you off. I have to get this out because you brought that up.
okay,
I was
go
in the
ahead.
hotel and I didn't know anybody because my plane landed late, and I'll get into that another episode. But I remember going downstairs in the morning and I saw someone with a tutu on and pink and blue hair. I'm like, okay, she's definitely on a show, and I'm talking about Lulu, of course. I'm like, yep, I was
Of
correct.
course. Yeah. Oh yeah. You see these people and you're like, oh, this person is 100% on a comedy show on Food Network. No doubt about it.
Exactly.
Like,
Character.
no doubt about it.
So
No
you
doubt
get
about
to
it.
the hotel, and like
Mhm.
once you meet the cast, did you guys like all gel automatically, or like, was there any clicks there? Like who did you put yourself with?
Yeah, so we all gelled pretty well. I think we were all a little bit on the edge, like
Of
because
course.
you're kind of adapting to this new essentially a new life that you're coming into for the next several weeks, depending on how long you're on the show. So I think for me, I found comfort in Brittany, Travell, Allison, and Terry for the first few nights. I feel like we were very close,
Yeah,
and we gelled well. I gelled well with everyone. Don't get me wrong, but
of
for
course.
sure, Allison and Brittany. Allison was like the mom of the show. She was like my mom away from
Absolutely. I
home.
can see
So,
that. Yeah.
so Allison for sure, and Brittany. Me and Brittany are still very good friends to this day. So
That's awesome, man. I agree with you. I'm gonna just piggyback off what you said. Like, there's not a lot of people that can say they lived what we went through on the show. Like,
mhm.
you are stuck in the room with these guys for 16, 17 hours a day. So
Yeah,
you have no choice but to become like really close friends, or you just hate them, which it wasn't the case on my season. I don't know if there was any hatred or anything like that, which I don't see it happening, but at the same time, like you guys are in a room and you're doing this such a spectacular thing, once in a lifetime thing, and you guys, very limited amount of people are sharing this moment with you. So you have a family forever. Like that's how I feel about my season.
Agreed, 100%. And the thing is, you can't reach out to anybody else and be like, I need advice. I need, this is what I'm going through, because these are really honestly, I feel like every show's different on TV, so, the feeling's different. The emotions are different for every show, so the only people that really understand what you're going through are the people you're going through it with.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So that definitely brings you close.
Right.
Sure.
And I'm trying to explain that to like my friends and my wife, and they just don't get it. Like you don't get it because you're not a worst cook in America. That's why you don't get
That's
it.
right. That's right. That 100%. I agree.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Because this show's going to be based more about like behind the scenes stuff, not so much about cooking. Because you could just watch the show and you can tell what we're all about. I want to know more about like the relationships built in the show and like stuff that people didn't see. So for example, like my question to you is, when you were on the show, was there anything that happened with the cast or crew that wasn't supposed to? Like you did something, because there's a lot of rules, Cam. There's a lot of rules in place in these shows. Was there any people breaking the rules or anything like that? I mean, tread lightly. Don't get yourself in too much trouble. But hey, this is burnt and we spill the tea here.
That's right. We do. So, I wouldn't say there was much, nothing too bad going on. There was nights, it's hard, being essentially locked down in a hotel. You don't have any really freedom to do anything other than stay there. So there was nights, we wouldn't really go out of the hotel, but we would definitely, we should be in bed by a certain time, like a curfew, but we would definitely, still be awake in each other's rooms, just chatting and, having a fun time. Just getting closer with one another. There was pranks. We pulled pranks on each other, just jokes. I know for me specifically, we just wrote random love notes and put them under people's doors, which is classic. I know, but it was fun together.
You guys sound like a sweet cast, and I appreciate you answering that question, because when I have my episode, we were just rebels, man. Like I'll just spill a little bit. There's one episode that you can go back and watch, and you can see me, Ryan, Mike. We are exhausted, and I'll get into that why we're exhausted on another episode. But just know we were some bad boys.
Hey, you have to find a way. That's something else.
It was all in good.
You got to find a way to de-stress about everything.
You have to find
a way. Yeah.
We knew what we were doing. We didn't get anybody in trouble. We're not breaking laws. It was just, like fun stuff, like pranks and stuff. You got to keep yourself entertained. Sure. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about, so you meet the cast. You're cool with Travell, Brittany, and the mom, Allison, and Terry, and everybody else. We guys are all in the green room going over everything. Like there's a lot of rules in place. Before the cook even starts, there's about 20 producers and directors telling you where everything is. So a lot of people ask me this question, like, how do you know where the pans are? How do you know where the butter is? Obviously the fridge, but like little things, like where do you know, like, can you explain a little bit behind the scenes before the camera start rolling?
So for us, specifically my season, I don't know if it's the same on every other season, but they would split the blue team and the red team up beforehand, and they would do something called a culinary walkthrough, which is when I believe one of the food stylists, I believe, was the one that was showing us. One of the
wow, you have a good memory, man.
Yeah, and I believe it was so the food stylist would they would take us, they would show us, okay, this is already here, this is already ready for you, just grab it and go. There's 6 of them, there's 6 of you left, should be no problem. Or if maybe we would have to share something, they would tell us, all right, you two are going to be sharing, this pan is there, this knife is there, essentially, and just walk us through,
walking through everything
in order to make things go a little bit more smoothly before we started screwing up.
Absolutely. Because we're already worst cooks, and we can't
We
comprehend doing two things at once. You know, like just you need to give us the information and we'll see what we could do with it. That's how I took it.
exactly.
So you
We
walk
needed
into
a
boot
little bit of
camp.
help.
He, the first time you walk into boot camp and you open those swinging doors, the first two people you see is obviously Chef Ann, and who was the other mentor?
Chef Tyler Florence for us.
Tyler Florence.
Tyler.
So at this time, at this point, when you first walk in, you don't know what team you're on. You don't know if you're on the blue team or red team, right?
Correct. Yes.
What were you happy that you were picked for the blue team, or did you want to be with the Rockin' Red Stars with Chef Ann?
So, you know, when I went into boot camp, I told myself I wanted to be on Ann's team just because I'm the kind of person that deals well with pressure. I like the added pressure.
Okay.
So I thought that would motivate me more. But then something it didn't show on the first episode during the baseline dish. Chef Ann absolutely nailed me, like screaming.
She did.
Yeah, it was so bad.
They didn't air it.
They didn't air it. No, they didn't air it. But Chef Ann absolutely annihilated me within the first like 15 minutes of that baseline dish. So I was like, you know what? Nope, I can't do this. Put me on the blue team, please. Put me on the blue team. So from that moment on, I was like, please, Chef Tyler, please, Chef Tyler. Yeah.
Chef
So
Tyler, he seems like a nice all around guy. I saw you got a selfie with him too.
Yes, yeah, we got a picture after. That was actually the day I got eliminated. Right after all the filming was complete.
Right on.
We had to go back and get a picture of him. Yeah, super duper nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like it. So, okay, so you're on the show. You know your team. You're with the blue guys, and obviously, just you don't want to go home in the first episode. Like that's just like embarrassing. Like, yes, we're the worst cooks in America, but you don't want to be that person that goes home first. Were you worried at all? You're going to go home the first episode?
So the thing, you know, yes, I was definitely worried. Of course, that was my number one goal.
We're all worried.
Wanted to. Yeah, we're all worried. And at the end of the day, you know, you're there to win $25,000. Exactly. That's the end goal. So of course you want to win the whole thing. You want to win the whole thing. You know, who doesn't? You know, why would you know? So in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you know, I really honestly I want the 25,000, but I am very happy to be here. So if I make it to the top 4 on my team or top 5, I actually said top 5 or top 4 on my team, I was going to be content with that.
So you had a episode goal. Like if I make it to episode 4, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I wanted to be there a while to learn enough. And I just did not want to go home the first episode because I knew I would never live it down from everyone.
Yeah, like we're being taught. You got to remember, we're actually being taught by these amazing worldwide chefs. You know, like this is like once in a lifetime stuff. Like people will pay thousands of dollars to get a training session from Ann or Alton Brown. You know, like that's crazy. And we get to do this and we get paid if we win. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's free. It's. I mean, we're very, very lucky, I feel like, to have had the opportunity. Yeah. So, yeah.
Did you, before, when you knew you got the call and you were like, okay, I'm on the show, did you start cooking? Did you start learning? Did you start watching videos like, okay, how do I cook? How do I turn on a stove? Did you do any preparation? Be like, okay, I'm going to try to get at least a little bit of a leg up when I'm there.
So, I didn't, just because so one of the things they actually tell you once you're picked to be on the show, they tell you, don't practice. We want you at your worst. Come here at your worst and leave your best, you know, because it can't go anywhere but up. So
exactly. That's true.
The producers, I don't know about you guys, I don't know about other cast members, but they told me specifically, don't practice. We want you at what you are now. We don't want you to improve before you get here. That's what you're going to do on camera is improve.
It's true.
So I actually didn't. I remember watching a lot of videos of the show, watch a lot of episodes, but I never really watched any cooking things. My thing was terminology in the kitchen. I didn't know what all these words meant, so there was no way I could really do the things. I didn't really understand what it meant.
Exactly. So. I'm with you on that one, man. Like, so going back, you're on the show. What's something that you wish you did better on the show? Like for me, it was having a clean station. Like I was just a messy dude and I would get yelled at every episode. They didn't air it that much, but I was the messy guy.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I would say being less nervous. My nerves got the best of me. I mean, everybody's a
Really?
little bit nervous, I think, but my nerves got the best of me. The first episode, I mean, I was a train wreck. I almost went home.
Well, we couldn't tell. I'll tell you that. Like, I haven't watched your episode in a
Woo!
while, but I remember it seemed like natural. You seem awesome on it, man.
Well,
That's awesome.
thanks. I
You're a
appreciate that.
pro.
No, yeah, well, yeah, but I was a train wreck the first episode, and then the episode I went home. I don't like shrimp, and that was the challenge, episode number 5, which is what sent me home. So I was very nervous during that. Like I'm not a fan of shrimp, so I didn't even like cooking
Okay.
it.
That was my next
So
question. What was the dish that sent you home? So it was shrimp.
yeah, it was shrimp curry with basmati rice, and we had to make our own chutney. Yeah, the only thing that was good on mine was the rice. Everything else was crap.
Everything else. I get this asked a lot too. Whenever they see the show, they're like, "Yo, is this real? Like, do people really are they? They don't understand. They can't read. They can't follow a recipe. How do you guys not know how to cook?" And I just tell them
Right.
the same thing. Well, listen, like, yeah, I can read a recipe. That's no problem. But when that
Yep.
clock is ticking down and you're looking up there and there's like 2 minutes left and you don't know, you still got to fry your steak and like, there's so many things that go into it that just because you can read it doesn't make a difference. For me, it
Yep.
was hard. It really is. And it was real. Everybody on my season, and I'm guessing yours, are legit terrible chefs.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a common misconception of people that watch the show are that there is actually not a real clock that's ticking down.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people don't think there's an actual clock. And the thing is, we would have some of these demos, that the chef is showing us. Like Tyler showing us a recipe. It takes him 2.5 hours to make the whole thing.
Yeah,
We only have an hour.
exactly.
Or it takes. There was one thing, I don't even remember what it was, but it took him, I think, almost 3.5 hours. It was to the point where they had to put mats underneath our feet.
Oh, wow.
Because our backs were just killing us. When you're standing there, so just riding, and got to be in the camera angle.
Let's talk about that. So they don't show that on TV when they prepare the food for you. For example, like say if Tyler Florence is making a burger or whatever he was cooking for 2 hours, you don't see us in there like this and taking notes, like copious amounts of notes. And if you're a bad note taker, you're screwed in the cook.
Exactly. And
which is me.
You write down. Me too. You write down too many notes, and then you're confused because you're constantly finding yourself looking back, like flipping through pages, like where did I leave off?
Exactly.
So yeah, that it's very difficult. It's a mental game as well. It's a strategy game. You got to play it smart.
Absolutely, man. Like I went in there for my season. And I told everybody, like, behind the scenes stuff, I'm like, listen, I love you guys, but don't get mad at me if you see me talking crap on live TV with you. So just to know, I love you, but I'm coming at you, okay? I want to win this, but, we all know what happened there. So for you, the last episode you got sent home, you said it was episode 5?
Yes, week 5, yep.
And who was in the bottom with you?
Brittany.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I got to ask this question. Do you think you deserve to go home that day, or should have been Brittany?
I did deserve to go home. Brittany hadn't been in the bottom yet. It was my second time in the bottom, which is normally it's normally if you're in the bottom a second time, it's your time.
That's a great assumption. That's a great thinking, because I remember when I went home, America, Monica was in the bottom twice, and they still sent me home on burnt chicken. I didn't serve them raw chicken. We'll talk about that later. I'm sorry. You brought up something that just tickled me.
Sorry, Monica.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, it's cool, man. I'm glad you had a good time on the show. People seem to really love you, and the season as well. It was one of my favorite seasons. Honestly, it really was. Do you still cook by any chance? You do any cooking these days?
I do. I honestly live off of pasta. I eat pasta so much, at least 3 times a week. So I'm always just trying different pasta sauce recipes.
Really?
But baking is more my forte. I'm much better at baking and science rather than cooking. Cool, for sure.
Man. That is awesome. I saw something like maybe like I don't remember, a few months ago, you were going to like elementary schools and teaching people how to cook. Is that, am I correct saying that?
Yeah. So, here's the thing. I'm from a small town. I'm from a
Okay.
town of 3,000 people. I'm from a town, things like this don't happen to people, essentially. The whole area as a whole.
Gotcha.
So when I came out that I was in the show, it's just like mind blown, right?
That's awesome.
So it's just fun to visit the schools and just talk to the kids, and answer questions. So
That's cool,
yeah,
man. That's awesome that
yeah,
you did that. I would like to do that as well. Like public speaking for me is something I always enjoy doing. I don't think I
yeah,
can like really teach them how to cook just yet.
yeah.
Maybe one day we'll see. One more
Uh,
question for you, Cam, before we let you
yeah,
go. If
what's
you
up?
had to pick
For sure.
one food for the rest of your life to eat,
Uh,
what would it be?
uh, one food. I gotta go with pasta in general. But if you want me to be more specific, I would just say just classic spaghetti and
Spaghetti.
like marinara, spaghetti marinara. Yeah, spaghetti. Yeah.
Okay, well, so the caveat was, but you have to cook it for yourself. But since you already know how to make pasta, I'm assuming, yeah, I guess you're gonna be okay.
Yep, I'll go with that. I'll go with pasta. That's my answer. Yeah.
All right, that's a good. I like pasta. I'm trying to do like this ketogenic diet right now, and it's so hard not to eat
Yeah.
carbs, man. Like carbs, like
Uh,
so good.
I love
Everything.
carbs. Are my favorite. I love
Yeah. Hey,
carbs.
so where
Who
can we
doesn't?
find you, man? You got any social media you want to plug? You got anything coming up?
Social media, yeah, Instagram, Cameron_Pennington. Pretty simple. Just put a underscore in the middle of my names. Yeah, that's pretty much all. That Facebook, but that's kind of personal. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's follow me on Instagram.
Thank
Follow
you,
me on
man. Hey,
Instagram.
Ken, thank you for coming on today, man. It was a pleasure.
No
You're my
worries.
first guest ever on the podcast. Something that I wanted to get together for a long time doing, because when the pandemic hit back in March is when I wanted to start this. But then I got
Right.
unmotivated and it just didn't happen. But it's here now. So thank you guys for listening to the first episode of Burnt. We're going to have more. We're going to interview all your favorite recruits from past and present. Maybe get some teachers on here as well. Maybe try to get Chef Ann on here and Alton Brown, see what they want to come on here and drop some knowledge. But thank you for being the first guest, buddy. I really appreciate it. All right.
No
This
worries.
has been fun. This is Burnt.